Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today we will be continuing our journey into Act 6, covering all of the easiest paths. If multiple paths are an option in the quest, I will cover them all. Remember, these are just what I found easier, and your roster and experiences may vary. So let's dive in. Act 6, Chapter 2, Quest number 3. Headstrong. Well done for making it through that, Mr. Sinister, and now on to my favourite quest in Act 6. I'm going to use Steve here to explain why. So yeah, that was a 140k level 2 from a 1-star champion. Keep watching to find out how we do that. The global in this quest is Icarus. Whenever you strike the opponent or parry stun them, you will gain a 10% Fury buff. How nice. However, if you were to gain a 9th Fury buff or higher, or one of them naturally falls off, you will gain a non-stacking degeneration debuff on you instead. You can, however, use a heavy attack to safely remove all Furies. The fact that this is a degen debuff is very important, as now we can use Shruggers and a few special champions to absolutely demolish this quest. Shrugging champions will be able to remove the degen debuffs from themselves, but still benefit from the Fury buffs, and that's the key here. Avoid the degen and benefit from the Fury. Let's have a look at Kingpin. He builds up the Furies, but doesn't care at all about the degen, so this node purely benefits him. In fact, he can use the degen debuffs to fuel his rage even faster, and double benefit. Some other great options include Moleman, Baron Zemo, Shang-Chi, or Jabari Panther, any of the good Shruggers. High Sig Crossbones can work, but he will have issues shrugging off the debuffs back to back as there is a short cooldown on his Sig ability, and once he gains a few of his personal Fury buffs anyway, he will shut down the opponent's ability accuracy, so the buffs won't trigger. Agent Venom with Scorpion and Kraven synergies can also do very well. The damage over time is mental, and he will shrug off enough of the degens to keep himself going. Killmonger with the Void synergy is also amazing, as this gives him a chance for every debuff applied to him to instantly shrug it off and regenerate 4% of his health. Whenever Killmonger gains a debuff though, he will also gain a burst of power. There are enough debuffs here that you can basically just chain special 2s back to back, maybe one combo in between if required. Red Goblin is also amazing here. He can safely build to special 2, stacking as many Furies as possible, and then launch it for insane damage. Each Fury on him will inflict an armor break on the opponent for really, really massive damage. Captain Marvel movie is also very good for this quest, awakened if possible. She will shrug off all debuffs when entering her binary form, and if she's awakened will go indestructible for a few seconds, allowing for massive special 2 burst. Champions with aptitude here will also increase the potency of the node Furies. Hulkling, Cosmic Ghost Rider and Odin are great options here. Note these Furies will count for CGR's Fury Judgment. Finally, we have the Icarus Queens, Ghost and Angela. Ghost is a crit-based champion, so any Fury buff helps her out a lot, and she can also turn the degen debuffs into additional massive Furies just by phasing. For even more damage, you can bring the Ant-Man synergy that gives you an additional 15% damage on you per buff. This means the Furies will give you even more damage and she can demolish this quest. Awakened Angela, even Sig 20 is fine, will reduce the duration of damaging debuffs for each buff on her. Icarus is a source of buffs, meaning she will never get degened. Each buff on her will also inflict an armor break on any of her specials, allowing for, again, massive damage. I'm sure that there are some options I haven't mentioned here. Corvus can't die, Hercules is broken, so on and so forth. But really, you can do this node with any champion. Gain some Furies when you're about to unleash some big damage, and keep them low when you don't need them. If your top champion is, for example, Sunspot, I would go with 2 special ones to ramp his damage, keeping the Furies as low as possible. When they're ready for my big damage, gain some Furies for a really, really big special 2. If you don't have any champions I mention here, and are struggling to manage the Furies, you can just spam heavies through this quest, and you'll be safe. And if you are enjoying this video, please get a Fury on that like button. The path I would recommend is left through Captain Marvel movie, up to Emma Frost, and then straight ahead through Captain America. This path has the fewest annoying defenders and no global nodes. There are only 2 minor issues. The first is Emma Frost. While she is in diamond form, you won't be able to stun her, and she's immune to a lot of damaging effects. Either armor break her to force her out of diamond form, or bring an option that doesn't care about the immunities. You will also need to consider Ronan. His Sig will give him more attack for each buff on you, and so this will ramp up the degen damage you will take as the node provides buffs, increasing his attack. The other defenders are relatively easy to deal with, and no local node helps keep things simple. The boss in this quest is a Mega Red. He has 20% limber, though his other nodes are relatively inconsequential. He still has Icarus on him though, which means if you've brought a good counter, this guy is a bit of a pushover. Just make sure you don't bleed him, and you'll be fine. If you are really having issues here, bring a robot, as a Mega Red spores stack really slowly on them. A few other options. Hercules and Corvus, as I mentioned, won't die from the degen damage, and the Furies will ramp up their damage significantly. It's also important to note that the damage from the degen takes half a second before actually dealing its first tick, meaning you can continue your full combo and you will only start taking degen damage once you stop hitting the opponent. If you have fast hitting special attacks, you can go for your full combo straight into your special with no worries. For an ideal team, I won't really be focusing on the path or the boss specifically. Given how much the global node can benefit some champions, I will just be stacking a team with those. Ghost with the Ant-Man synergy will be my starting point, as Ghost is completely busted. Awakened Angela will be number 3, Moleman 4, and Red Goblin will round out this team. Ant-Man isn't needed here at all, and is only here to ramp up Ghost's damage even further. Any of the other suggested counters would replace him just fine. You could also swap him out for Wasp if you need that to help your Ghost gameplay. Fairly soon after this video goes out, I will try and get up a short commentated video of me going through this path with the exact team I suggest above. It will be much more relaxed, but should hopefully give you some insight into how I look at getting around these issues. I will also start answering questions that people ask in the comments, so please leave yours down below. As always, remember that this is story content, so it won't be going anywhere anytime soon. You have no title coming up until 6.4, so if you are stuck here and find yourself spending lots of resources, stop and focus on something else. The monthly event quest and side quests are great places to pick up more materials, shards and units, as are battlegrounds and the arena. So that's it. Everything you need to know to clear 6.2.3. Up next, we'll be looking at 6.2.4 and whichever tech champion is chosen from the poll. Keep an eye out for more announcements in the future so you can have your say in which champions are covered. I also have a Discord server, so please go and join that. It's a great place to get specific advice, make suggestions for future video topics, and as long as I'm awake, I'm there to help. If you have any questions, please do leave them below, and please do all the YouTube stuff. Thank you, and I will see you next time.